Welcome to a new era.
New era.
Welcome to a new era.
Apart from being a horrible booker, Triple H has also been exposed for being a terrible liar. Ever since taking over creative, the game hasn't just sucked the fun out of wrestling, but he's also made sure to lie and twist the narrative at every possible opportunity to make himself look like a genius and weasel out of embarrassing situations. From false promises of a new era to dishonest booking decisions, this is every Triple H lie that has ruined the WWE. Leading up to the Royal Rumble, Triple H went on interviews promising fans that this year's Rumble would be truly epic and full of surprises. Fans got their hopes high, expecting a Chris Jericho return or the return of someone like Paige or someone like Braun Breaker or LA Knight winning the Rumble. But what we got instead was one of the most mediocre Royal Rumbles ever. The so-called surprises Triple H promised turned out to be Brie Bella, whose pop was entirely based on being married to Daniel Bryan and a bunch of random luchadors that absolutely nobody in the audience cared about. These weren't the game-changing moments Triple H had promised. They were cheap attempts to get a reaction without any of the casual fans giving a reaction. The Royal Rumble became just another example of Triple H overpromising and under-delivering. But speaking of broken promises, nothing exemplifies Triple H's dishonesty more than his treatment of LA Knight. After Knight lost the Money in the Bank ladder match in 2023, Triple H made a point of telling fans that good things come to those who wait. This was the game's way of saying that Knight's time would come, that patience would be rewarded, and that WWE had big plans for one of their most organically over stars in years. Fans believed him because Triple H had built a reputation in NXT for eventually pulling the trigger on popular talents. But fast forward 3 years, and LA Knight is still stuck in the midcard with no world title reign in sight. Despite consistently getting massive reactions from live crowds, despite his merchandise flying off shelves, despite fans desperately wanting to see him in the main event scene, Triple H has refused to give Knight the push he promised. Instead, Knight has been relegated to feuds over the United States Championship and meaningless segments with the Vision that go nowhere. The man who should be carrying WWE into the future is being treated like just another guy on the roster. What makes this lie even more insulting is that Triple H keeps doubling down on it. Every few months, when fans complain about Knight's booking, the bald liar will claim that Knight's time is coming, that they have plans for him, that good things are still on the way. But after 3 years of waiting, it's obvious that Triple H never intended to make Knight a world champion. The initial promise was just a way to placate angry fans and a lie designed to prevent backlash. Triple H counted on fans eventually forgetting about Knight's momentum, and when that didn't happen, he just kept lying and hoping people would stop caring. And this pattern of lying about booking decisions leads directly into one of the worst matches of the John Cena retirement tour. One of Triple H's biggest lies during John Cena's retirement tour was the fact that Cena specifically requested to feud with Brock Lesnar after Summerslam. During interviews and press conferences, Triple H repeatedly stated that this match was Cena's idea, that Big Match John personally wanted one more battle with the Beast Incarnate before hanging up his boots. But Cena himself has clarified that he had no input on the decision and he just plays whatever card he's dealt. Cena could have easily wrestled someone like Braun Breaker or Carmelo Hayes who could benefit from the rub. But Triple H, in his infinite wisdom, decided that another Lesnar match would generate more mainstream buzz. So the game went ahead and booked the match, then lied to the media about whose idea it actually was. This lie served multiple purposes for Triple H. First, it protected him from criticism about wasting one of Cena's final matches on a part-timer instead of building a new star. Second, it reinforced Triple H's image as the guy who gives talent what they want, the anti-Vince who listens to his wrestlers instead of forcing his own vision. But the reality was that Triple H was prioritizing short-term buzz over long-term gain, then lying about it to avoid accountability. And speaking of avoiding accountability, Triple H's next lie shows his complete contempt for fan intelligence. During the road to WrestleMania 41, as fan criticism of Triple H's booking reached a fever pitch, the game decided to go on the offensive. In an interview with the Flagrant podcast, Triple H made the now infamous claim that the internet isn't real life and that the complaining online doesn't reflect the actual audience. This was a complete and total lie. It's been widely reported by wrestling journalists that Triple H is constantly on social media, particularly on X, checking what fans are saying about the product. There have been countless instances of WWE directly responding to online criticism by changing storylines or booking decisions. The company clearly does listen to internet fans. They just don't want to admit it because acknowledging online criticism would mean admitting their product has serious problems. But instead of being honest about WWE's relationship with online fandom, Triple H chose to pretend that internet fans don't matter while simultaneously catering to their every whim behind the scenes. And this pattern of saying one thing while doing another became even more blatant with his next massive lie when he almost cost someone their livelihood. When news broke out that WWE wasn't renewing R-Truth's contract, the wrestling world went into shock. Truth was one of the most beloved performers in history, not just among fans but among everyone backstage. His release sparked immediate outrage, with fans flooding social media with criticism and talent reportedly expressing frustration to management. Truth himself went to social media to confirm that his release was real, making it clear that this wasn't some elaborate storyline. But when R-Truth was brought back at Money in the Bank, Triple H saw an opportunity to rewrite history. At the post-show press conference, the game had the audacity to imply that Truth's firing had been a work all along. This claim was immediately called out as nonsense, and even Truth's own son publicly called out Triple H for lying about the situation. What made this lie particularly infuriating was that it was later exposed definitively on WWE's own Unreal documentary series. The behind-the-scenes footage and interviews made it crystal clear that Truth's release was a legitimate cost-cutting decision that WWE came to regret after seeing the backlash. This wasn't a work, it was damage control. But instead of admitting that WWE got it wrong and fixed their mistake, Triple H tried to gaslight fans into believing it was all part of the plan. If there's one phrase that has become synonymous with Triple H's empty promises, it's his claims that a new era is coming. Each time, Triple H sells the shows as turning points that will usher in fresh creative direction, new stars, and exciting storylines that fans have never seen before. But every single time, absolutely nothing changes. The same wrestlers remain in the main event scene. The same booking patterns continue. The same creative problems persist. The promised new era never materializes because Triple H has no intention of actually changing anything. The new era lie has become so predictable that fans now mock it openly on social media. But the game keeps saying it anyway because he knows that hope is a powerful drug. Every time he promises a new era, some fans allow themselves to believe that maybe this time will be different. Maybe this time Triple H will actually follow through and create actual change. But it never happens. And while lying about the future is bad enough, Triple H has also proven willing to lie about the past. The Montreal screwjob remains one of the most controversial moments in wrestling history, and for years Triple H maintained that he had nothing to do with it. In the immediate aftermath of the incident, when confronted backstage by Bret Hart's wife, Triple H swore to God that he wasn't involved in what happened to Bret. Triple H maintained this lie for decades. Whenever the Montreal screwjob came up in interviews or documentaries, he would either dodge the question or imply that he was just as shocked as everyone else. He allowed Bret Hart and the wrestling world to believe that he was innocent, that he hadn't betrayed one of the industry's biggest stars. But everything changed when the Mr. McMahon documentary dropped on Netflix. In that series, Triple H finally admitted the truth. For over 20 years, Triple H lied to Bret Hart's family, lied to fans, and lied to anyone who asked about his involvement. And now that he's in a position of power where he feels untouchable, he has no problem admitting the truth and even bragging about it. Summerslam 2025 will go down as one of the biggest examples of Triple H's false advertising. At the end of Night 1, after Seth Rollins successfully cashed in his Money in the Bank briefcase and shocked everyone, Triple H smugly claimed that the fans had seen nothing yet. The implication was crystal clear. If Night 1 had delivered that kind of shocking moment, Night 2 was going to be absolutely insane. Fans immediately started speculating about what could possibly top Rollins' cash-in. Would Cody turn heel? Would The Rock make his return? Would the Vision align with Cena? Night 2 delivered absolutely none of that. The main event ended exactly as everyone expected, and fans were misled once again. Triple H knew exactly what he had planned for Night 2, and he knew it wasn't going to live up to the hype he was creating. But he said it anyway, banking on the fact that by the time fans realized they'd been duped, WWE would already have their money. This is the kind of carny tactics that wrestling fans have learned to expect from the game, and nowhere was this more apparent than with his promotion of WWE's newest disaster. When WWE announced WrestlePalooza as a new PLE for 2025, Triple H went into overdrive hyping it up. In interviews and press conferences, he promised that WrestlePalooza would be full of surprises, loaded with fun moments. The promotional material painted WrestlePalooza as a must-see event that would rival WrestleMania in terms of memorable moments. But the reality was that WrestlePalooza turned out to be one of the worst shows in history. The matches were boring. The promised surprises never materialized. The fun Triple H had advertised was nowhere to be found. The crowd in attendance was noticeably dead for most of the show, and social media reactions were overwhelmingly negative. Even ESPN ran a scathing review that tore apart the event's poor booking and lack of entertainment value. For ESPN to publicly bash a WWE show is almost unheard of. But Palooza was so historically terrible that even friendly media outlets couldn't pretend it was good. The game had promised a celebration and instead delivered a funeral. And once again, by the time fans realized they'd been lied to, WWE already had their ticket money. But perhaps Triple H's most insulting lie came when he tried to rewrite what happened at one of the most controversial moments of the modern era. John Cena's retirement match was supposed to be a celebration of one of WWE's greatest careers. Instead, the finish of the match turned it into a catastrophic failure that left everyone in attendance feeling cheated and angry. Then, at the post-show press conference, Triple H addressed the negative reaction. Without missing a beat, the game claimed that he had expected this reaction all along, that it was part of the plan, and he expected the boos to be louder. He framed the anger of the fans as a calculated decision rather than a creative failure, trying to make it seem like he was playing 4D chess. But people who were backstage that night tell a completely different story. Multiple wrestlers and production staff have since revealed that the reaction in the gorilla position was one of shock. Nobody expected fans to boo the ending that heavily and react so harshly to the finish. This lie perfectly encapsulates everything wrong with Triple H's leadership. Instead of admitting mistakes, learning from them, and doing better next time, he immediately goes into damage control mode and tries to gaslight everyone into believing that failure was actually success. And worst of all, by refusing to acknowledge his failures, Triple H ensures that he'll keep making the same mistakes over and over again. Because in his mind, he's never actually made a mistake. It's always part of the plan, always exactly what he intended, even when everyone can see through the lies. This same dishonesty is what made 2025 one of the worst years in WWE history. And with Triple H in control, 2026 might be no different. But if you want to revisit a year when WWE was actually fun, check out this video next.